Now I gotta ride or die.
So guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a high mileage hero with us. We have a 530 diesel BMW on the 05 plate. Now, I say high mileage, it's got 187,000 miles. You can find it out in the comments if you think that's high mileage. To be fair, I don't really think that's too high mileage, considering I see a lot of these at 2, even 300,000 miles for sale on the internet. But this one was bought for the grand sum of £2,100. I do not think that is anything to sniff at. I think that is probably one of the best value for money vehicles you will buy ever, in my opinion. These look the nuts, they go really well, they're spacious inside, but we will start with what we always do, which is a look round on this thing, because I feel like this generation of BMW was one of my favourites. Sorry about the wind noise, it's slightly windy today apparently. But M Sport kit on this one, I will say if you're after buying one of these, the M Sport kit is the best version of this car. If you're going to get one of these, go for an M Sport. I'm not going to say the non-M Sports aren't the one, but I do feel like they look a lot better. You will see from the front bumper with the little winglets out the side, they're just slightly nicer. We have side skirts on the M Sport as well. I think it brings the side of the car out a lot nicer with the sort of 10 multi-spoke wheels. Sits nicely. Again, this one isn't actually modified whatsoever. This is a factory kitted car with the M Sport rear, as you can see, twin exit out the side with a little diffuser on the back. No spoiler on this one, just the flat deck lid boot with the 530D badging at the back. I love the look of these though, and I will say this multiple times in the video. The lights, I think, have really made this generation especially still contemporary. It doesn't look aged, it doesn't look old in a sense. It doesn't look like it's an 05 plate or entry 54, so 04 these sort of come out, 03, 04. I don't think they look like they're that old, especially mainly because the lights look so good, just with them going around the bodywork there. We will have a quick look inside, because this generation, I think, is not that far away from the newer generation. Sorry about all my stuff there, but you have a swooping dash with the center console and center screen there. Buttons for pretty much everything, all in the center just there. And you have electric seats in this, actually. Electric there, but your front and back isn't electric. Airbags in the doors. As we come around this side, correct me if I'm wrong, and I do believe that this generation was one of the generations that came with the first shark fin aerials. Leave a comment below if I'm wrong, because I grew up in the generation where these came out. Can't quite remember if this was one of the first cars with the shark fin style aerial at the top. Looks good though either way. We have an M Sport steering wheel with buttons on it, auto lights, and it's actually retaining over 30 mpg while I'm enjoying it today. We will get down to the wear on this when we drive it, but as you can see, at 187,000 miles, I don't think it's worn whatsoever in here. It's used, it's a daily car, but I don't think it's actually that far away from, you know, one that's got 50,000 miles on it. Nice little extension on the armrest there, center console, with this sort of aluminium funny stuff. It's all over the car, but again, something that they came with from the factory in this generation. I always thought the door cards weren't actually that big on these. New cars have huge door cards on them, whereas this, there's a lot more room, especially for your knees and stuff, because those door cards weren't as big. Again, this is a daily used car, and we are picking it up from daily use right now, so you see it as is, and as you'll probably have your one if you're looking to buy one of these. But we're going to get in the car, see what 187,000 miles is like on a 530D, and whether you should get out there and try and have a go in one of these, go and buy one, especially if they're £2,100. That is an absolute deal. But let's see how it drives. So, the drive. Now, I know I've said a couple of times in this video
relatively high miles, and I know there'll be a lot of people out there that will say that isn't high miles for a 5 Series of this generation. 187,000 miles though might be a lot to some people, might not be to others. I do see them kicking around this sort of mileage because of the age. This one is a lovely place to be for what I'm looking at, which is 187,000 miles. Yes, I've seen them at 200, nearly even 300,000 miles, and you'll expect a car with that mileage to be a bit, I don't know, worn, a bit out, a bit funny. This one tracks straight and true. It's quiet. The steering's really, really nice, and it's not heavy, but it's actually interactive with what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting it to be this nice to drive, if I'm honest, considering I'm not saying it's got high mileage, but it has got higher mileage than you would expect when you're looking at maybe a 530. Some people want a relatively lower mileage one of these. I've seen them 200, 300, as I've already said, with no problems whatsoever. It's just keeping up with them. So the owner has had this about a year. He hasn't had too many problems with it, which is quite nice. Mainly, the only one being the dual mass went. After mileage, after years, they will start to, you know, disintegrate. That is something to point out. If you are after one, make sure that's either been done, or just put some money aside and make sure that, you know, when it does go, you can get it done. But what's it like to drive at this mileage? It feels chunky, it feels big, it feels low, it feels like it's got a good contact patch, and I know this generation does feel like that, you know, from factory, but it seems like it's held up really together. It still feels like that car. It's still got quite a good presence about it. I still think, and I've said this in the walk round, this generation of 5 Series is one of my favourites. Maybe it's because of my generation. You know, I'm in my 30s now. I saw this car come out and depreciate, and always lusted for one because I love the way the headlights sort of swoop round on the bodywork, the rear lights curve round. They did such a good job at the way this one looks and the way these are presented. It's aged really, really well and really gracefully, I think. Even the interior, like, it's not that far away from the new BMW stuff, I don't think. It still isn't an older car. Even inside at 187,000 miles, nothing's crazy worn. The seats are still in really good condition. The bolsters, you know, no rips there. The armrests, there's no crazy dents or wear whatsoever. True testament really to how good these 5 Series were at the time, because it's just aged, and once it has mileage on it, it's still that car. It hasn't shied away from its use, still being one of, you know, the nicest 5 Series they've made. That's my opinion though, only because I, you know, came up in this generation, really like the look of these. The interior's nice and big. You've got a swoop over the centre display, swoop over in front of you, 3-spoke steering wheel. Because it's an M Sport model, it has the M Sport steering wheel with the M Sport bumpers, which, if you're going to buy one, 100% go for. I do not like the way these look when they don't have the M Sport stuff on it, especially the bumpers. They're so roundy and a bit just poverty spec is what they are. So if you're probably going for a 530 or a 535 anyway, it probably will have the M Sport bumpers on it. And as we come out to this junction, I'm just going to put my foot down, clear traffic. Nice surge of boost up to the speed limit there. Still retaining 31 mpg. The owner enjoys this, and it's still retaining over 30 mpg, which is again testament to reliability, how well they were built from, you know, square one. It's actually a really nice place to be in here, and it's still comfy. You know, and say this has got, in the next year or so, next 2 years, 200,000 miles on it, and it's still driving and performing the way it is. What a great little buy. And at £2,100, does it get any better than that? What an absolute deal of a car. Anyway guys, I hope you liked the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Would you go for a higher mileage diesel 5 Series from this generation? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you all on the next one.